Welcome to episode 6, which is really episode 7 because we had an episode 0, but episode 6 of the HONESTea, where we talk about everything that we can in relation to you becoming more of your true self, and where my intention is that the more I live what I would call my hero's journey, the more I turn up as my most authentic self, the more of the honesty that I spill and that I pour out with you, that it will encourage you to become more of your own song, your own melody, and that you will live your hero's journey. So what I want to talk about to you today is about, this mirror theory. And for me, it's more than a theory. I absolutely believe this is true. And I think that more and more people understand that this is true. And I think that for a long time we haven't understood it. And we've believed that, we've been part of this kind of slave culture where we've felt that life is happening to us, as opposed to us being able to create our own lives and our own realities. And so that's what I want to talk about. So, as within, so without. So, basically what that means is whatever's happening inside of you is being projected into your reality. And so what a lot of people do is that we wait for the mirror to smile back at us, right? So you imagine standing in front of a mirror and you're saying to the mirror, come on, I need you to smile first. You smile and then I'm going to smile. And the world acts just like a mirror. So if you want your reflection to smile, you're going to need to smile first. And so if you want to be happy, you're going to need to be happy first. If you want to feel abundant, you're going to, or if you want to be abundant, you need to feel abundant first, right? If you want to feel loved, you're going to need to feel loved first. If you want to be loved, you need to feel love first. If you want to be celebrated, you're going to need to celebrate yourself first. If you want to be cherished, you need to cherish yourself first. If you want to feel worthy, to know worth, right? For the world to show you that you're worthy, you're going to need to feel worthy first. So for you to know, to see, to physically have something in your external world means that first you need to have it in your internal world. So instead of waiting for, I've got to wait for the weekend to come and then I'll be happy. I'm working in my job and I'm counting down the days, 4 more days to go, 3 more days to go, 2 more days to go. And when I get to the weekend, I'll be happy. I'm waiting for 5 o'clock because when I get to 5 o'clock, then I'll have peace and I'll be happy, right? Or I'm waiting to, when I get my house, I'll be happy. I'm waiting for my annual leave and so I can go on holiday and then I'll be happy. I'm waiting for my ideal partner to show up and then I'll be happy. And here's the deal. All you are doing is creating more waiting. As within, so without. I'm waiting on something to be happy. Well, you're just going to get more waiting. But when you decide that you can be happy in your current situation with everything that you have right now, then you will start to manifest, you will start to see in your external world what you have decided is true for you in your internal world. And that is the shift from a slave mentality to a royal, awakened creator mentality, right? Where we are no longer slaves to other people, but where we decide what a situation means, and we decide how our world and how our world looks and how we create our world. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, that's fine, but actually I'm not happy. And so it's really hard to be happy. And listen, I'm not saying, and I've talked a lot about, I've talked a bit about toxic positivity. So if you don't know, now you know. I'm not about being toxic positive and, just need to be happy. Because that just doesn't work, because the universe, God, your vibration, your energy responds to what you actually feel, not what you say. So even if I was to say, oh, I'm feeling so positive, that doesn't mean I feel positive, right? Just because I'm saying it doesn't mean I'm positive, right? Because that's just bullshit. And it's responding to my energy and my vibration, not the words that I'm saying. So a lot of people who are toxic positive people will say they are positive, but they'll go home and they'll be really depressed and upset. And that's really sad for them, by the way. So it's not about that. Absolutely, you may not be happy right now, or you might be happy in some parts of your life and not in others, right? You might have some parts that work, and that happened for me. There were parts that would work really well, or sometimes it would work well, and then until it didn't, right? And all of those things, and that's because that's the beauty of life. Is like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then we're figuring it out again. And the journey is the destination, as they say. The journey is the fun part, if you can just see it as a fun part, as like, oh my God, like look at me healing my wounds and being like amazing, and then oh my God, there I am in it again, like. And and here's a funny thing, that when you free yourself and you start to understand that, oh, I'm a creator, I'm creating my own reality, that there's a part of you that's like, yes, look at me, I created this, check this out, check me out. And there's also a part of me that's like, a part of you that's like, oh fuck, I also created this, like I created this, oh, I created this, so there's that going on as well. But so everything is a reflection of you. And so what you need to do is to start to be happy now. Start to be fulfilled now. Start to feel joy now. Start to feel abundant now. And like I said, people will say, well, I'm not happy, right? But I know there are parts of you that are happy. There are bits of your life where you are happy, where you do feel good, where you do feel fulfilled, where you feel like, man, I'm actually a really fucking amazing mum. When I think about it, I'm really a fucking good mum. If that's you, lean into that. Or you know what? I'm actually a really good fucking supervisor at work. I'm really, really good at it. My team love me and I feel amazing. Lean into that. I am the best at gardening. I really love it when I get to go home and I love being in my garden. I love that. I enjoy it so much. Lean into that. I'm actually the best dancer. When I get down to the club, even though they do those silent discos now, I feel like, man, I'm an awesome dancer. Lean into that. Whatever it is for you. I'm the best, my husband's the best poached egg maker and scone maker. That's what I would say about him. So, lean into that. Those are the things that, oh man, you know what? I'm actually really good at this. And I feel so good about that. And I love it and I really appreciate that about myself. I really love that about me, And I really love, and then start to appreciate other people, circumstances. My God, if you own a mobile phone these days, you are blessed. If you have a roof over your head and you have, dinner on the table every night, man, you are blessed. And you have no idea how blessed you are. There are so many people who don't have. If you have safety, security, if you have any of those things, man, you should be so grateful, because there are a lot of people in this world that don't. So start to lean into that and find your joy and your happiness in those things. I go, oh, actually, I'm pretty good at that. Actually, I really love when so and so turns up for me like that. Start to lean into those things. Start to feel good now. Now, a lot of people ask me about this one, and so I'm going to give you my tea on prosperity. Okay, so abundance, when we talk about abundance and prosperity, one of the easiest ways to start to show yourself that you have abundance is to start small, right? Start really, really small. So one of the things that I would do, and I still do to this day, even when I had nothing, like, and there was certain, oh man, there's been so many times when I've been living week to week, or like when, my kids are little. I remember that and I was a solo mum for a little bit there with my boys, and I remember crying to one of my friends and saying, we only have noodles every night, we have noodles, and she was like, and they probably love it, and they probably don't know any different. But I felt devastated, and what I would say is when I started to feel prosperous on the inside, feel abundant on the inside, and one of the best ways you can do that is to start to give even when you've got nothing to give. It feels like I've got nothing to give, but I'm going to give. And don't give from a place of like, I'm going to give so that I can receive, because I saw it on a podcast and said, if you give, then you're going to receive. Well, that's not going to work, because the universe is responding to what your intention is, how you are feeling, not what you are saying or doing or whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, there's part of that too, but remember, it's the energy. So what I would do, and what I still do every single time I go shopping, is, I don't know if this is the same, but in Australia and in New Zealand, they have donation bins where you can donate food. And so even when I had nothing, when I was living week to week, I would always buy something. So even if it was a $3 tin of baked beans or anything, and I would pop it in those bins, because I know that there's definitely somebody who's less well off than me, right? And then I found that God would give me, spirit, source, would give me opportunities to give back. The more I gave, the more opportunity there was to give back. And in two ways. One, that I was more prosperous, but also that suddenly people, things, situations would appear in my life where it's like, oh, they needed something and I would be able to give to them. So I started to just give in really small ways, Oh my God, I think if you live in any country, but certainly if you live in New Zealand right now, there's so many opportunities to give, And so when I couldn't afford it, I would start to just give in really small ways. And the other way you can show yourself abundance is just to give really beautifully to yourself, right? So, we talked a little bit about what the real meaning of self-love, but like when you do your shopping, if you can show yourself abundance by buying an extra toothpaste, right? Buy an extra toothpaste when they're on special, or buy some extra toilet paper when it's on special, or whatever it is for you, and then pop that in the drawer. When you have nothing and you start to open up your drawer and there's an extra, there's already toilet paper there. I'm not living week to week. Oh, there's already a spare toothpaste sitting there. Oh, I've actually got a spare toothbrush that I bought, a month ago that was on special. Oh, that's right, I have some hand soap refill that I've got. You start to feel abundant, right? It feels like, oh, look at me having all these extra things. And then it moves into, oh, I'm just going to make this extra payment on this one thing. Oh, now I'm ahead, And so if you can show yourself abundance in small ways, it starts to grow. The universe, God, will give you more opportunities to create that feeling. And it's the feeling you want, right? The emotion, energy and motion. It's the feeling you want, like, oh, that makes me feel good. I'm not living week to week because look at me having these extra noodles. or whatever it is for you, and I don't hate on those situations. I think, if you've kind of listened to a few of my episodes, you'll know that I believe every situation and every person in my life has been such a valuable, beautiful lesson. And what I would say is, when my boys were little, when all of my children were little, mince was like a staple thing, which I think it's like ground beef in other countries. And I would say I would do mince 63 ways because I know how to cook mince, man. And now my big kids, right? My older kids, their number one favorite dish that they ask for on their birthdays is lasagna. And they love mince on toast. It's none of the fancy stuff that we had when we started to get money. You know, it's not the salmon and asparagus and all of those in the creme fraiche. They're asking for the mince. And that's the thing, eh? Even when I think about my own mum, she used to make the best kokolaisa, like cocoa rice, and she was palangi. But man, when I would go around there and just be like, Mum, can I get some cocoa rice? And she would be like, oh my God, you're so annoying. And then she would go and make it, and I would feel so loved, So I don't hate on any of those times. I actually love that because man, I can have nothing in my cupboard and know exactly how I can make up like a fucking amazing meal. So I'm never stressed about from that perspective, and I love that about myself. I love that I've been through that everything. So, yeah, what I'm trying to say in my long-winded way, like I do, is that if you want to feel prosperous, start to do little things for yourself. If you want to feel happy, start to recognize situations where you are happy. And if you haven't seen my episode on being unbothered, that's another one, is like, just be unbothered to a point where, you're standing in queue and, you're in this really long queue, and you just get into the present moment and you just go, you know what? I'm sure the reason why I'm being held up in this queue, there's a really good reason that I just don't know about. And I mean, if you've ever even heard about, there was a whole book written about people who didn't go to work during 9/11, that worked in, the Twin Towers or other places where that all went down. And it was crazy things that held them up, that didn't make sense at the time, but for whatever reason meant that they weren't there in those buildings working on that day. And so I have this really deep held belief that when you're held up now, like for anything, and this is the whole reflection as well, is that you get to decide what something means for you. You get to decide, oh, this is, oh my God, this is so frustrating and this feels like hell, and I'm so annoyed and I'm angry. You can either be like that, or you can be like, you know what, I bet there's a reason why I'm being held up here. Maybe I'm stuck in traffic because there's an accident further up the road that I'm unaware of. Actually, legitimately, this just happened to me, and I didn't recognize it at the time, but I do now, is that I was going to a hair appointment, and I checked my Google Maps because, if you know me, I have the shittest sense of direction, so I have to Google Map, honestly, to go around the corner to my supermarket. That's how I feel. And I Google mapped my hairdresser and I was like, oh, sweet as, no issues, right? And then I went to leave, and my son-in-law couldn't find his keys to move the car. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. And then he did. And then I reversed out the driveway, realized, oh my God, I need gas. I was like, why is this happening to me? Oh my God, like, this is the worst. And then I went to get gas, and then I got on the motorway, and it was chockers. And I realized, oh my God, I'm going to have to go the long way. Anyway, I ended up being late. But my point is, what I realized later on is I could have been in that accident that happened on that motorway that held up that traffic, right? I don't know, but maybe the reason why I got held up that whole day was because that was what was going on, and maybe, I was supposed to go the long way. So what I'm saying is just be at peace with it, and remember, the mirror, it's a mirror. Everything's a reflection of how you feel on the inside. So if you want to feel joy, if you want to see joy in your life, be more joyous on the inside. If you want to see love, be more loving. If you want your partner to be more loving and more kind, you be more loving and more kind. If you want your children to be more loving and more kind, you be more loving and more kind. If you want your boss, and listen, this because a lot of times what will happen is that you'll change yourself, and God will move you out of that situation. So you'll change and you'll go, well, I keep manifesting the same boss over and over and over. I'm going to change who I am because I realize there's a pattern, there's something going on, there's a wound I need to heal. And then you do. And it's not like that person changes. It's just that suddenly you end up in a different role or doing something completely different. And not everyone in your life, even for me, even your children, right? Your family, your, people who you desperately want to heal along with you and come along with you in their journey. Maybe they won't be able to, but you can take responsibility, you can take ownership, you can keep your sovereignty, and you can start to change your external world by changing your internal world. And everybody gets that the wrong way, or not everybody, but a lot of people wait for their external world to change so they will feel better on the inside, and it actually works the opposite way. So feel better on the inside and my outside world will change. Once I internally feel better, the external will change. And a lot of people have, all of these secret societies that we hear about, with all these rich white men, they all know this, right? They believe in abundance. They believe that they will have prosperity and all of those things, and so they do, right? And that's also why, a lot of people say to me, oh, well, how come people are rich but they're assholes? Because, and how come somebody who is poor can be a really beautiful person? And it's because it's all around your belief systems, right? If I believe I'm worthy of more money, I will be. The universe, God, isn't judging. It's just loving you unconditionally and is responding to your energy, your emotion, your frequency. That's it. But you have to start with you. It actually says in the Bible, the kingdom of God is within you, right? Jesus said that. The kingdom of God is within you. Your ability to live your heaven on earth is in you, within you. So, you don't wait for the weekend. Don't wait for the holiday. Don't wait for the promotion. Don't wait for the perfect partner. Become who you want to be now. Become that version now, and I promise you that your world will start to change. And if it doesn't, first of all, we're going to talk about echoes. So that's a thing. And second of all, it means you haven't got there yet. It means you're just saying it, but you don't really truly believe it in your soul. Believe it. You're not resonating with it as yet. But there is always a little bit of a bridge. There's always a little bit of a gap, right? And there's what I call an echo, which is like where, God, universe, source, whatever, is saying, are you sure, Ange? Are you sure you're healed? Are you sure? Are you sure you really believe in your own abundance? Are you sure you want to live your hero's journey? Right? There is that little bridge, and there's that gap where we could potentially lose the faith, where we can potentially go, oh, maybe this is not right for me. Maybe I shouldn't do this podcast because, oh man, there's not enough people subscribing and watching and liking. And maybe it's not resonating with enough people. And maybe you're not that worthy after all. And maybe other people are doing better than you, right? So there is that little, and you've got to keep the faith in that moment. That's your opportunity to keep the faith and to just keep going because it feels good and it feels right for you. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm really doing my best not to waffle as much, but I don't know if I'm being successful in that. And as always, I'm going to leave you with heal deeply, lead boldly, and live fully. And I appreciate you, and I love you more than you know, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.